All right, tubers, Matt M. Roy back once again. And no, you are not missing the time. I started this live stream just a little bit early, mainly because I want to test some settings here. I try to tweak the microphone a little bit more. I upped it from basically tape quality to DVD quality, or to FM radio quality, actually. So I want you guys to let me know, am I coming through loud and clear? Does it sound a little bit better than it normally does? Let me know, somebody in the chat window. Video looks much better. That's good. What about the audio? I'm really curious. Sounds good. Okay. So hopefully this is a little bit better, and I do apologize. I know that I don't have the best setup right now. I'm hopefully going to get a better microphone in the near future, but for now, I'll just have to deal with the webcam as is. All right, so everybody says I sound good. So I wanted to give you guys a quick update because I know I haven't actually done a live stream in a little while, and the main reason I haven't done it is I've not been feeling that well. As many of you know, this time of year I suffer from allergy problems, and I've been having the usual issues with my eustachian tube, basically the tube that goes from the inner ear to the mouth. I've had a lot of pain the last week or so, and other than doing that quick little live stream by the fire, I really haven't had the motivation to really do too much else. I've actually been, honestly, in a pretty bad mood, so you guys probably wouldn't have wanted me to do any more live streams anyway. That being said, I am feeling a little bit better now. I want to give you an update on the computers before we get into this right here, which I know a lot of you guys have actually seen. I've been going through the Dell Precision T3500s, the ones that were good and the ones that were bad. And I've looked at them very carefully, going through all the components, the memory, the CPUs, but specifically the memory. And I found something very interesting. The ones that had the power supplies that blew seem to have had memory that was mixed. In other words, somebody put in error-correcting memory and non-error correcting memory. And I said to myself, okay, that's funny that every system that the power supply blew out on seems to have this mix of memory in there, which, as most of you guys that are computer techs out there know, is a big no-no. You're never supposed to mix error-correcting memory and non-error correcting memory. But I've never heard about that actually blowing a power supply until I did a little bit more research. There is a slight variance in the voltage that the error correcting versus the non-error correcting memory uses. It may only be like 0.01 or 0.02 volts, but apparently in some instances it's enough to cause stress on a power supply and blow it. So my hypothesis, and this is not proven, I'll probably never be able to prove this, is that the memory blew because it had that mixture of error correcting and non-error correcting memory. Now, that was a little bit of an issue on my part. I really should have checked that, but honestly, I wasn't thinking that the seller would have mixed the memory like that, because these systems, bear in mind, these systems were supposedly in use up until about a month before I got them, and I had no reason to think that any of the configurations were changed other than the fact that the hard drives were removed. So I want to give you guys a little bit of an update on there. That is just my hypothesis as to why the power supplies might have blown. Wow, we're getting a lot of people here. Dabbler's Buffet said, ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing well today. Saw the thumbnail cover of me holding the Polaroid turntable. I didn't know Polaroid made turntables, just the cameras. I believe what this is, honestly, is actually a rebadged Crosley turntable. And we'll get to the reasons that I purchased this and what I plan on doing with it in just a few minutes. I want to wait and give everybody an opportunity to get here. But there is a method to my madness as to why I actually bought this. All right, getting a lot of people here. That's awesome. All right, so couple other things I want to update you on is the weather. Everybody keeps asking me, Matt, how's the weather in your area? Today it was gorgeous. Today we saw 64, 65 degrees. Tonight it's going to get down into the 40s, so I'll have to shut my window. You guys can see I have my fan up there right now. I usually have that turned on most of the day, circulating nice and fresh air into the room. Because being over the garage, a lot of the smells actually come up. They permeate, if you will, from the garage. And I think that's a lot of my problems with the allergy. So this actually helps me circulate air into the room and mitigates any seasonal allergy problems that I may have. 22 watchers and 4 likes. That's awesome. Come on, give me some thumbs up there. Just to reiterate, too, you know, I did reach my super chat goal. So next season, I will be going on a roller coaster. Kind of looking forward to that, kind of not. But I'm going to do it. I promise you guys I'm going to do it. So I'm definitely going to do it. Mr. Jimmy's here giving the stream a like. Thank you very much. Charlie Lipinski seems to be having issues streaming, getting my live stream. The only thing is, I stream this. I believe it's streaming in 1080p. And if that's the case, maybe you want to try to turn your resolution down a little bit, even go down to 480, because you may be having issues with bandwidth. Other than that, I'm not sure what else it could be other than YouTube being stupid again, right? I don't know exactly what roller coaster I'm going to go on. I know it's going to be at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, because that's the closest one to my house. Excuse me. There go the allergies again. Let's see. I'm gonna look that up real quick. They have the Griffin, the Big Bad Wolf, the Tempesto, Apollo's Chariot, Loch Ness. They got a lot of them here. The one that I really want to go on is called the Griffin. That's actually the one where you go up to the top and you free fall all the way down. I think that one's really cool. The only issue I may have with that is getting on it, because even though I've lost a lot of weight, I'm still a very wide individual, specifically in the shoulders. And that's one of those roller coasters that actually strap you in from the shoulders. And if you're too wide and you won't fit into the harness, they won't let you go on. So I may have to settle for one of the older roller coasters, maybe Loch Ness Monster, Apollo's Chariot. I honestly thought that that one was discontinued, but apparently not. That would be a good one, because I don't believe that one that you get suspended from your shoulders. Let me take a look here. Now, that's your typical old school roller coaster where you just sit in the car. So that'll probably be the one that I wind up going on. 24 watchers. Very nice. Mr. Jimmy goes, yeah, I'm free falling. Yeah, little Tom Petty there. I really wish I could stream music for you guys. That really bothers me that YouTube doesn't allow that kind of stuff. I have to try to figure out something when I do demonstrate this turntable. Give you guys a little more of a teaser. Chris Barlow says, just watching your stuff before I came here, Eric. Yeah, I haven't seen Eric's new video yet. I know that he said he was hoping he had more issues than he actually did. That's what I mean. I'm always praying not to have issues, because at that point, you know, when I want to work on something, I do enjoy a little bit of a challenge. But if it gets too in-depth, then my OCD just makes me get frustrated. That's pretty much with anything, really. Yes, try it at 720p. I think it's probably just a bandwidth issue, to be honest. We got 28 watchers. Yeah, it looks like YouTube's just being stupid. iPad Mini 2, Charlie Pinsky's on. Yeah, I would think that would be okay. If at all possible, try just streaming it on a regular Windows PC. It might do a little bit better there for you. Dabbler Buffet says, have you ever heard of ELO, Jeff Black, and Alan Parsons Project? I've heard of the last two. I've heard of Jeff Beck and Alan Parsons. I never heard of ELO. So what do you think of the bands? Jeff Beck's okay. I mean, not really my kind of music. The Alan Parsons Project I actually like. They had some experimental stuff back in the early 80s, very, to me, very reminiscent of Nirvana, at least early Nirvana stuff. And yeah, I thought they were okay. Not my favorite group, but you know, they had some good hits. One of my favorite groups from the 80s is very obscure. And I say group because it was one gentleman that had like a guitarist. But look up Rupert Hine. I'm not sure if there's an S in that. Let me look that up real quick. I think it is. Rupert Hine is his name, and he did a lot of the music for the movie Better Off Dead. With One Look, I've Been Arrested by You. If you get a chance, take a look at him. Very, very good songs. I love him. He had one of my favorite kind of adult contemporary artists back in the mid 80s. Matter of fact, I'll share a link with you guys. This was one of my absolute favorite songs out of the 80s, kind of a love ballad. Nick Roberts, do I like POD or Yellow Card, Creed, and other Christian bands? It's funny you should mention POD because POD is not actually as well known as a lot of people think they are, but I'll go ahead and show you guys something here real quick. Right on my phone there. Got some POD right there. That's Satellite. Actually, that's probably their most famous album is POD Satellite. Yes, I love POD. POD is like Christian hard rock, and that's probably one of the only Christian hard rock bands I actually do like. Eric Brunhammer said he likes the Blue Oyster Cult. Don't Fear the Reaper. Yeah, I like them too. You guys seem to like the similar kind of music that I do. A lot of the 70s and 80s rock and roll, whether it be easy listening, adult contemporary, grunge bands, even some of the jazz from that day was really good. Oh, LCND Inc. says, what is your opinion on the original Mac computer? Believe it or not, I owned a couple of those back in the day. I actually had a Mac Plus, and then I had a Mac 512, which was actually like the second release. I think it started with the one. No, it started with the 128, then the 256, and the 512. So mine was like the third gen, if you will. They were very innovative for the time. Basically, the first GUI interface available on the market. Now, you can argue that Commodore, I think, had GEOS maybe the same year. But for the most part, it was very innovative for that fact alone. The one thing I didn't like was the 9-inch screen and the fact that it was only black and white, because you got to remember, the original Mac was really aimed at the business market. So people that were doing some graphical designs with Mac Paint, a lot of people that were doing spreadsheets, Word documents. And it was good in that aspect because people have never used a computer before, didn't have to learn DOS or CP/M or BASIC. They didn't have to learn the command line. They could just turn the computer on and, oh, look, there's Mac Write or ClarisWorks. You just click on that and get to work. But it had its disadvantages. I mean, the screen was very small, so people that had disabilities, bad sight like I did, even back then, I had a hard time seeing it. And I don't believe the original Mac had any way to output the graphics or the screen to another monitor, at least not natively. I know later on there were add-on cards, but that's just my take on it. It was very innovative for the time. And I do have to give Apple kudos for knowing their market. I totally agree, Creative Combine. The black and white screen was the biggest downfall. JBLG, how big is your Laserdisc collection? I have about 30 movies. I'd have to go and count again. I think at last count I had about 250. I've gotten 5 or 6 more. Every time I go to the thrift store and I see them there, I'll pick up the ones I don't have, and sometimes even pick up the ones that I do have if they're in better condition, because laser discs suffer from something called laser rot. And what it actually is the disc itself, the chemicals they use to make the disc start to rot. And a lot of times you can't actually see it. If you physically look at the laser disc, it looks fine, but when you go to play it, you'll know that it's suffering from laser rot because you'll see a lot of lines in the screen. You'll see like the crackle and the it's almost like if you ever watch an old film strip and you notice you get those little dots and those little speckles going through the screen, and even some pixelation. That's how you know you have laser rot. And you can even, if it gets really bad, it can even go into the audio, and it kind of makes it sound like you're listening to a record that's really, really scratched up. Stephen Barber said, "Don't get me started on ClarisWorks versus AppleWorks. AppleWorks should have never happened. ClarisWorks was much better." You know what? I'll take your word for it. I did use ClarisWorks when I was in middle school, grade school, whatever you want to call it, but I never had AppleWorks or MacWrite. They just never had it. We always use ClarisWorks. Okay, we're at 31 watchers. I am going to stop answering questions for a few minutes because I want to get to the unboxing of this, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So let me reorientate myself here. Hopefully this works. I'm going to do the very best I can here. Hopefully you guys can still hear me okay. I'll move it up just a tad. So at this point, we're going to unbox this Polaroid model 4001 portable turntable. Now I'll go over some of the features of this. Right there we have Bluetooth. So basically you can go ahead and connect your phone or a tablet to this and play it through the speakers. You cannot actually play this through other speakers, which I would love that feature if they would actually invest in one that does that. Rechargeable. It has a built-in battery, so you can bring this with you on the go. It's a built-in lithium-ion battery. It doesn't say how big it is, but I'm sure it's good enough for at least a few hours. In stereo, which means you listen to your LPs and MP3s in crystal clear stereo sound with accentuated highs and booming lows. Well, that's yet to be seen. I have my doubts. Spin Doctor, a throwback concept with a modern twist. The retro turntable allows you to play your favorite records anytime you want. 45 RPM adapter included. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. Maybe it has something to do with it, or like an automatic speed adjustment. Get connected. This retro turntable is equipped with an audio port for the option to connect to a separate speaker for your listening pleasure. So basically that means you don't have to listen to this with the internal speakers. You can physically connect like a cheap pair of external speakers to it, but I don't actually see a way you can connect to like really nice stereo speakers. And to be honest with you, this probably doesn't have the amp to even handle it anyway. And last but not least, Band on the Run, which all that really means on the bottom is you get yourself a little carrying handle. Now, I will tell you, I did not pay the $40 that Big Lots wanted for this. And yes, this did come from Big Lots. You can see right up there, it originally had an MSRP of $40. I actually got this from my local thrift store, and I gave $14.98 for it. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. I am very clumsy with box cutters, so I'm hopefully not going to cut myself. This is hopefully brand new in box. I believe it is because I'm actually breaking the seals right now as we speak. All right, tubers, let's see what we got in here. Oh, didn't cut that one all the way, apparently. All right, so apparently it does appear to be new in box. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull this out without doing too much damage. That wasn't that tight, but it was a little tight. Let's see if there's anything else in the box here. Start with the cables. Right here we have two different cables. This one being, I'm assuming, to hook it up to external speakers or something, just a pair of RCA jacks. Next we have the charging cable. You can see right there, you get your little small round yellow DC connector plugs into the back of the record player, and then your USB so you can charge it from your computer or maybe a power brick. I have a lot of people saying, I bet the quality is not as good as the old ones. I can almost guarantee you it's not, but for the price I paid for it, I really don't care. And you get two pieces of paperwork here. If this product is not performing properly or you have difficulties understanding the use, how to use this product, stop! Too dramatic? Too bad. Let's readjust this a little bit. There, we can get both of us in there now, me and the record player. All right, next, portable turntable. Just telling you what's supposed to be in there, and everything is the turntable itself, the audio cable, and the USB pin charging cable, just a packing list, basically. And a whole bunch of stuff that you guys probably don't care about. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. First of all, I will tell you, definitely not as nice of a case as the other one. If you guys remember the Crosley one that I reviewed a few months back, that one actually had a faux leather case on it. This is just faux wood. There's no even attempt to show that that's any type of leather right there. So I can tell right off the bat, this one's definitely lower quality. And the whole reason I'm doing this is because I had a lot of people get on my case saying, Matt, why didn't you get another one? It was probably just a defective unit. So we'll see what happens. I'm very curious myself to see if this one actually works. If you guys remember, to recap, the Crosley one that I reviewed had an issue with the amplifier and also had an issue, I believe, with the speed. I could tell that the record player wasn't actually playing the record at the right speed. And when I turned the music off or turned the amp off but kept the motor running, you could actually hear the gears grinding. So that one really had issues. Go ahead and turn around so you guys can see this a little bit better. Actually, let me go like this, and no, I'm not going to drop it. I promise you I'm not going to drop it, guys. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. Ooh. Look at this beautiful retro style turntable, complete with craptastic plastic. Very thin and hollow. Right here, oh, what do you know? It's actually still charged. Check this out. It's actually still got a charge to it. You can see right there. Let me see if I can get in a little bit closer. Yeah, this is not easy to do live, but right there we have what appears to be the power switch or the power light, power LED, Bluetooth LED, and then I'm assuming that top one is for charging. Right here we have the on and off and volume switch. And you guys can't see that, can you? There's your on and off volume switch. One nice touch I can see that they did do, the very least, they twist tied down the tone arm, so that isn't moving about too much. So you have a little tone arm clamp here that keeps it in place. There's your little cueing arm there. And I must say, I like that. At least it's not, at least it's a, I don't know how to say this, it's a soft cue. In other words, a lot of the cheaper turntables, when you go to put this down, the tone arm will just go down real quick like that, and it'll cause damage to your record. So I must say, Polaroid, that is a nice touch. We do have a cap here on the stylus. Let me see if I can get this off. Wouldn't it be amazing if I broke this thing on live YouTube? It would be my luck, too, to be honest with you. It's about the way my days have been going lately. Tell you, this is when I regret actually cutting my nails. There we go. Just slides off. Stylus appears to be in good shape there. Just looking at it, I can tell you it's not a diamond needle. It's probably ceramic, but that's very typical. At this price point, you're not going to get a very high-end turntable. Yeah, the turntable is pretty small, but again, that's typical. It has to be small because it has to fit the record, a 33.5 RPM record in this. Turntable. Let's see if she actually turns here. Here are the two speeds. 33. Actually, okay. This actually does all three. This does 33, 45, and 78 RPM speeds. And it does turn. Wow. And then, of course, right here, this is your adapter for your 45. So basically, this just goes right in here and allows you to play 45s. I'm seeing some interesting touches here. It seems like it might be a decent player. So you know what, tubers? We are going to give this a quick try live for you guys, because I know you guys are itching for me to give this thing a try. Let me go ahead and get a record that I don't think I'm going to get a copyright strike. I'm not going to play much of it, but let's go ahead and give this a try. So let me go ahead and put this a little bit to the side here. And I just ran over the stop directions. Let's go grab a record. All right, tubers. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And I'm only going to play the side that has the score music, the stuff that's instrumental, because I have a hunch I'm not going to get a copyright strike doing that. So let's go ahead and give this thing a try. So as you can see, the record does fit on there just barely, and I think that's why they actually use the smaller turntable. Let me see something here. Via Westlife has a USB one. Yeah, this one is just a portable turntable. If you look on the back here, I'll show you this real quick before I play it. You can see right there, all that's on here is the RCA jacks, and then you have the one charging port. So this one does not have USB functionality. All right, let's give this thing a try. Let's see if she works. It's hard to cue it up properly here. Okay, apparently I had those records mixed up. I thought that was the one with the score music on it. So I'm not going to play too much, but we'll go ahead and try one other track here real quick. There we go. Okay, so that's about as much as I'm comfortable playing this on YouTube. But I must say, I am pleasantly surprised. for what this is compared, this is already heads and tails above the Crosley because it actually works. You can hear that it plays it at the proper speed. There isn't any kind of grinding from the gears in there. And the amplifier seems to be working properly. As for the quality of the speakers, about the same quality as my kid's Fisher-Price record player. It really does. It doesn't sound that great. And again, I didn't expect it to. I mean, you got to remember, this is, in all fairness, a $30 or $40 record player slash turntable at the most. But for what it is, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. If I had to score it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd have to give it about a 6. It does work properly, but the quality just isn't there. So bearing in mind, if you guys are going to buy something like this for yourself, two things you got to keep in mind. One, it may not last that long. You might get a year or two out of this with moderate playing, but after that, the stylus is going to wear down. The motor's probably going to start wearing out. Will these damage your records? I don't believe so. I'm not an expert on this, but I've watched enough videos to know that people, for the longest time, were so worried that, oh, the tracking is so going to be so far off, the stylus itself being a lower quality stylus, it's going to damage your records. No, it's not going to damage your records. The only way that would happen is if you played this thing maybe 50, 100 times, and chances are you're not going to do that with every record. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm still going to give this Polaroid, let's see, what did we say this was? This is a Polaroid portable turntable, model number 4001, a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think. I'm pleasantly surprised. Let me go ahead and turn this off and move this over to the side. And we'll get back to the normal live stream. I wasn't really planning on doing the review right now. I honestly didn't think the battery would have a charge, but since it did, I figured, heck, let's go ahead and do it. So let's get back here to the chat window. Let me see what I've missed here. Stephen Barber says he wouldn't mind paying $40 for a record player since he doesn't have one. And I think that's the idea. You can still get these at Big Lots. I've seen them there. And the Crosley ones are still available. The jury's out on those. I may have just gotten a bad one, but I'm not the only one that had issues like that. My recommendation would be is go and get one of those Polaroids. I mean, heck, you heard it here live. I mean, it actually didn't sound half bad. Now, it's never going to sound like my $1,000, $1,500 setup that I have near my bed. That's a component system with very high-end components. But if you're somebody that wants to be able to listen to a record once in a while and take it with you, that's a great option, to be honest with you. I am very pleasantly surprised. You can connect it to your sound system. Again, it would sound better. I don't know how good it would sound. If you are looking for a turntable to connect to a component system, I would recommend looking elsewhere. I would go online and buy something used off of Craigslist or Kijiji or whatever the one is that's over in Europe. I would buy something used on there, old school, like 70s and 80s that's been refurbished versus getting something like that and hooking it up to your main sound system. Because bear in mind, a lot of those old ones had the preamp built in. With this, I can almost guarantee you probably have to buy a separate preamp on eBay. I'm sorry, tubers. I am losing my voice here. Eric Brunhammer says it's probably pretty good for someone who doesn't care too much about the sound quality. An audiophile is never going to even consider that, but decent for the average Joe. You said it right there, Eric. That's pretty much what it is. I am an audiophile, but to be honest with you, when I go somewhere, like if I go upstate, that's a novelty. I could bring that up with me, pull that out in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner or after Thanksgiving dinner when we're resting and put on a record, and people will think that's cool. That's kind of the idea, bringing back the retro technology. I do wish that they would put a little bit more quality into the workmanship, though, because the things like this, the Polaroid, the Crosley, the Oh, I can't think. There's another one out there that makes them. I mean, it's just so subpar. It doesn't have to be. And they could add in a better turntable. They could use better plastic, a slightly better stylus. Charge $20 more. I can almost guarantee you, people out there are going to pay the money. It's just going to happen. People will pay money for quality. Evan Kio, I'm sorry, I can never pronounce that name. Evan says, "Do you have expensive headphones with an external amp?" I don't have any with an external amp. The most expensive headphones I have are the ones I bring to the gym, and those are a pair of Beats Solo Dr. Dre headphones. The only reason I have those is I got those cheap for $5 at a garage sale. Yeah, you heard me right, $5 at a garage sale. I do have some Altec Lansing headphones that are pretty decent quality. Those are just regular wired headphones, but I don't believe they actually have any preamps in them. I know that they make those, and they're mainly used for like DJs. I don't think I would ever invest in one, though. I just wouldn't want to spend that much money. It's interesting. Dabbler's Face. I noticed that songs on vinyl and cassette sound physically present compared to digital formats which sound contained. You have a very good ear, and I'll be the first one to agree with you. Basically, you're looking at two different types of audio. You have analog audio, which is records, cassettes, reel to reels, many different formats. Then you have the digital audio, which are your CDs, MP3s. The reason you notice the difference is you are closer to the music with analog audio. When you listen to analog audio, you are basically listening to it the way it was recorded in the studio. It could have been 30, 40 years ago. Digital audio is not like that. Digital audio is compressed for one, so you get that stereo artifacting and you get some of that, what I like to call robot sound in there. And number two, a lot of times with digital audio, they've cleaned it up a little bit, so you're losing some of the high end tones for sure, and even some from the low end too in the bass. So that you have a very good ear. A lot of people don't actually notice that, but I'm with you, buddy. I love my analog audio. If I could find a way to put a record player on my cell phone, I'd probably do that too. Max O'Neill's never listened to a cassette or a record. I feel for you because it's an experience. It really is. It's something that you have to savor. Mr. Jimmy says, I love tapes, just hate that they go bad after a couple of plays. I'm not sure what tapes you're buying. You must be buying some real cheap ones because I have some blank tapes that I recorded when I was a kid back in the early to mid 80s that are still playing this day, and they sound just as good as they did that 30 something years ago. And they've probably been played 500, 1,000 times. You got to invest in a good quality tape. Cheap tapes will break like after 3 or 4 plays. Do I own any Bluetooth? Evan wants to know if I own any Bluetooth external speakers. I have quite a few, actually. My absolute favorite one, I'll show you real quick. It's this one right here that I picked up at Walmart a few years ago. I don't remember if I ever did a review on the channel for it or not. This is the Jam Heavy Metal, and the reason I call this heavy metal, this thing weighs a ton. This speaker sounds absolutely amazing. This was originally $100, and I picked this up on clearance in the Walmart clearance section for $25. So I got it 75% off. This is my absolute favorite one. If you guys ever get a chance, let me see if I can read the model. This particular one is the Jam Heavy Metal model HX-P920. There you go, HX-P920. I'm sure they don't make it anymore. The reason it was on clearance when I got it is it was being discontinued, and it's really a shame. Great sounding Bluetooth speaker. Robert Jones says he remembers the pops and skips on LPs. Man, that's just part of their charm. As they get older, records will get scratched. And to me, that's just the whole charm of it. That never bothered me. I have some records from the 60s that have definitely seen better days, but I still enjoy listening to them. As a matter of fact, I have an original 1968 release of the musical Oliver, the soundtrack, and that one has been played by me probably 50, 60 times, and definitely has some condition issues, but I still love playing it. Yes, I do like show tunes, just to let you guys know. I'm not embarrassed to admit it. That's my feminine side, and a lot of women really like that. I'm going to be honest with you. If you can show a feminine side, you'll get the ladies. Mr. Jimmy said, I remember 3 albums on tape. A sound would play fine for like 2 seconds, then go really quiet, then play fine again. Was not the player as other tapes were fine. Yeah, again, it's the quality of the tapes. You have to get good quality tapes. Type 2 chromium dioxide are ones I would recommend. Type 4 metal tapes are almost impossible to find. If you can find them, they're really expensive. Even good quality Type 1 ferric oxide tapes can be decent quality. BASF back in the day made some really good ones. Their Ferro BX series and the TDK D90s, D60s, all very good tapes. Just stay away from the store brands. Ricoton made some of the worst tapes I ever bought. Certron, CERTON was another one to totally avoid. Robert Jones says, Matt, have you ever fixed a broken tape? Yes, I have. Basically, what I would do, I would save blank tapes, but blank tapes that specifically had screwed on cases. Sometimes they're sealed with like clips, but other ones, the better quality ones, have 5 screws, usually 1 on each end and then 1 in the middle. And what I would do is say I had an old tape where the rollers were going bad and it was about to break. I would go ahead and break that tape open, and I would unscrew the blank tape, and I would transfer the guts from the original tape to that blank tape. So in effect, I would have a brand new tape with the original tape, if that makes sense to you. And you guys can watch and see videos of that being done on YouTube. And I haven't done that in a while, but back a couple of years ago, I was doing that for all my tapes. Well, a good portion of them that were starting to wear out. And that's the one thing that would usually wear out on tapes if they wore out, were the rollers. And that's something you can do. It's not very hard. It's a little time consuming. But especially for the tapes that you really love, it's worth putting the time and effort in. Chris Barlow said, did that many times. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there my age and a little older probably have. Dabbler Buffet said, have I ever done a video on HD DVDs or Betamax technology? I know I've done them on Betamax because I actually have 2 Betamax VCRs in my closet. And if you go back and look at my video history, I'm almost sure I've done one on that. I've never done one on HD DVDs, although I do have an HD DVD player in my closet with probably 3 or 4 HD DVDs. I honestly just haven't had a chance to get to it. A lot of these videos are going to be for future, I can't tell you. Basically having to be done in the future because of issues I'm having at home, trying to film anything. As a matter of fact, the live streams are the easiest things to film because this time of night, everybody else is watching TV and I pretty much have the house at least semi-quiet. I'm looking through some of my older videos to see if I actually did have anything on Betamax VCRs. You know what? I actually don't think I ever did do a video about a Betamax. No, I guess I didn't. Hey, give me an idea for the future there, buddy. Thanks. I should be writing these down, but I'll try to remember. Eric Brunhammer said, "I would love to do a redo on the video of my RCA Select Division." Are you talking about the video disc player or one of the older TVs? Let me know. Chris Bartlett said he never liked Beta. I have no problem with Beta. As a matter of fact, Beta in its day was way better than VHS. It had a higher resolution and was really a more reliable format. The only problem with Betamax was you couldn't hold as much on one tape, and that's pretty much why it died out. There were some other reasons, but I don't want to get into the raunchy side of why it died out. You guys can look that up on other channels. Eric Brunhammer, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. I vaguely remember the video you did about the video disc player. Databits did a video on that. Very interesting technology. Video disc players, the RCA Select Division video disc players, were very similar to laser discs, but instead of reading the discs with a laser, they read these video discs with a stylus, like on a record player. And it was amazing. I had one years ago. Unfortunately, it died out, and I threw it out when I cleaned up my closet. A lot of things I did back then I regret doing, including throwing out my original Tandy 1200 HD, which is worth a lot of money now. And if I ever win the lottery, I'm going to be searching desperately for another one because I miss that computer so much. My old Tandy 1200 HD. I really want to get that computer back if at all possible. Yes, exactly. The RCA Select Division video disc used a stylus, just like a record stylus, to read video discs for video and audio. Very, very interesting technology. I don't think he'd mind. Let me try to find Databits video on that. You know what? The one I'm going to share with you guys is actually Techmoans. This is Techmo. This is a link to Techmoan's video about the RCA CED video disc player. So Techmoan, if you ever see this video, I'm giving you a shout out here. I love your videos too. And don't forget, you guys can still do super chats, even though we reached the goal here. I still wouldn't mind. You know, all that money goes to helping improve the channel. So if anybody is inclined, you only have to give $1 or $2. I mean, I'm not asking for a lot, just whatever you can spare. Robert Jones says, Matt, are you going to move your software to the flash drives? It depends. If you're talking about like my old discs, probably not. I just haven't. I have no reason to, because the computers that I run, like the old 3.5-inch and 5.25-inch floppies, don't have USB support anyway. And a lot of that stuff I have backed up on multiple copies of discs, and I also have them on backup hard drives. So my older software, probably not. Oh, that's interesting. Dabner Buffet said you mentioned one of your live streams about putting up personal ads. Do you mean to not to advertise your YouTube channel on here? Not for the YouTube channel, but I don't want. Of course, I want everybody knowing exactly where I live. So I try not to post up personal information. I know some people can figure it out. Some people have figured out, but I don't want it to be general knowledge. Evan asks, am I familiar with RAID configurations? I'm familiar with them. I've never dealt much with RAID. I haven't really had a need to. I set up a RAID 0 back years ago in school. Um, I mean, they're good for redundancy, for backing up, but for just general use, most users won't be needing them. Yeah, well, don't spill the beans, Mr. Jimmy, please. I think I'll have to end this in a few minutes, guys, because my throat is really scratchy. Yeah, Dabbler, I'll check out your channel. I don't mind. My philosophy on this is, if you want me to check out your YouTube channel, I absolutely will. If it's something that I'm interested in, I will subscribe. If the kind of videos you put up are not interesting to me, I won't subscribe, because there's really no reason to. If I subscribe to your channel and don't watch your content, it doesn't really help you out in the long run. But in your case, I will subscribe.
Welcome to my channel.
You probably hear that, a Dabbler.
That was a Bay. On this channel, you find all sorts of videos on here, varying from gaming and music to other things like technology and videos with my bro.
I hope you didn't mind me. I played your trailer. That's pretty cool. I need to update my trailer too. It's crazy. I haven't updated my trailer, I think, since like 2015. Awesome. All right, tubers, I'm going to end this because my voice is very raw and I forgot to bring in my bottle of water. So hope you guys enjoyed it. You got to hear that thing working. Please continue to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.